All right, hello, distinguished guests. My name is Underwater Smoking. I'll be taking over hosting duties for the next couple of runs. Coming hot off the heels of that fantastic Deus Ex Human Revolution race, we now have Drakodan with Astro Boy Omega Factor. This looks like an interesting game. So, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Hey, what's up everyone? This is Drakodan, and yep, this is going to be Astro Boy Omega Factor for Game Boy Advance. Nice little side-scrolling beat-em-up made by Treasure. It is a very interesting game, some could say. The story is very interesting. I'm not going to try to actually explain the story and everything that's going on as the run is progressing, because that is a lot. Like, I can offer some tidbits, but storyline-wise, this is a doozy. But it is a very good game in its own right, just nice and fluid. So, when you're all ready, I can give a countdown and we can get going.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So, side-scrolling beat-em-up game by Treasure. If you played any of these games before, you'll know basically what to expect from this game. It's very much in the vein of games like Gunstar Heroes, Guardian Heroes, games such as that from the same developer. You have a pretty basic arsenal of attacks to use. You have your punches, kicks. You also have a finger laser, which I'm using here to use screen-wide attacks. And you have a couple of super attacks, which can be used with the super gauge that's near the center of the screen, so you have a limited access to them. However, by playing on easy difficulty, you have much higher stock of them, and you're able to gain ammo for your super attacks a lot more easily, which really speeds up the run very significantly. So the way that this game progresses is it's ultimately just a series of enemy waves, and the screen will not unlock and let you progress until you've cleared the current enemy wave. The game defines an enemy wave as being finished as when all of the enemy bodies, including the corpses, are off screen, and the corpses do have semi-random trajectories that they bounce around in as they die. You'll see here, some of them can bounce high, some of them can bounce low, so there's a little bit of RNG variance you can do nothing about. But by and large, it's just knowing where the enemies are going to spawn, since for a lot of the waves, the enemy spawn locations are scripted. Some of them are pseudo-random, but for the most part, they're pretty predictable in how they're going to spawn and behave. And so we've got some planned ways to deal with each wave as they occur. And we've also obtained the first upgrade point of the run already. Upgrades in this game are handled by you meet characters, and Astro basically learns more about the human condition and human emotions, and that causes Astro to grow. It gives you a value in the Omega Factor, it's called. And for each value in the Omega Factor you have, you gain an upgrade point that you can put into your different stats. The primary stat that's going to be boosted throughout the run is the laser stat. It's the highest DPS ability we can use when we're just spamming the special attack that's on the R trigger, the arm cannon. And it's also very useful for the various auto-scroll segments that are going to be in the game. These segments that we're going to play are divided between these side-scrolling beat-em-up segments, and then you also have flying segments where you only have access to the laser, you cannot use your hand-to-hand ability. So for that reason, the laser is by far the best stat to boost at the start of the run. For the second half of the run, we're going to be upgrading the shot stat, which isn't actually going to be used throughout most of the game, but it is very useful for the final stage, which is just a boss rush. So here is the stage 1 boss, and I'm going to be using the task strat here. I say that as though it's something impressive, but it's mechanically very simple to execute. This just happens to be the fastest way to dispatch this guy. 4 cycles of 1 punch into an arm cannon, which, with 2 points in the laser, I missed a punch there, we'll dispatch him very quickly. I'll just punch on the way down. Easy. Alright. So, there's some mention of using a task strat there. I have developed a full task for this category, and it is very fast, lots of RNG manipulation, but as far as the actual, mechanical playing of the game goes, you can get relatively close to playing with task quality in a lot of cases, simply because of how much room there is in this game for buffering your inputs. there's quite a generous window between each action that you're doing where you can like perform the inputs for the next action, and then the game will simply perform that action at the first available frame. So in some cases, there's going to be a lot of input buffering used to do basically quote-unquote perfect strings of inputs. We've got the first auto-scroller segment here, which follows the same rule as the land-based segments. Just clear the enemy waves as quickly as possible. Most of them are scripted in their spawn location, so just be in the right place at the right time and kill enemies as quickly as possible to force the following waves to just keep on spawning. Little mini-boss dispatch there with 2 arm cannons. And we've barely upgraded the laser stat, so to be doing like this much damage and clearing waves this quickly and killing mini-bosses this quickly, yeah, the arm cannon is very, very powerful when fully upgraded. So we're going to be coming straight into another mini-boss here, the Artificial Sun. It's going to be a 2-phase fight. Going to use a little bit of a positional manipulation to start the fight. And hopefully this first phase is going to end when he's close to the... Nah, that was a little bit off. You want him to end near the center of the screen as he automatically moves into the center of the screen as seen there. And now we're just going to spam arm cannons to chew through most of the remaining HP. And once it's down to like one bubble of the health bar left, just going to finish off with the finger laser. It is slightly faster in some cases to finish off with regular attacks rather than a super attack, since as you can see, every time you trigger a super attack in this game, there's a startup animation that freezes time and lasts approximately 2 seconds. So whenever you want to use a super attack in this game, you do need to like route it so that you're weighing the cost benefit against the time needed to start up the attack. If it doesn't save at least 2 seconds, then it doesn't actually save time to use a super attack. So supers are going to be used primarily to chew through boss health, but for a lot of like trash waves, there's a lot of instances where you want to stick strictly to basic hand-to-hand and you don't want to use super attacks, as it is just slower to do that. Oh, come on. Alright, there we go. So, meeting another character here, and there's a little hidden panel on the wall, which we're just going to blast through with an arm cannon, which is going to unlock a door at the end of the room. As you can see, this is a dark room. You can't see where you're going because Astro has no points in the hyper sensor stat, but we do not need the hyper sensor because if you just know the route through the room, you just progress normally. Boost over here. One punch into an arm cannon will take care of this guy. Going to be another wave of enemies, which I'm going to use a bit of specific movement for here. So by boosting through the enemies there, you avoid taking damage. One of the nice little quirks of the movement engine in this game is that the jet is the fastest way to move, and whilst you're boosting with the jet, Astro is completely intangible. Cannot be hit or influenced by any form of damage, which is as exploitable as it sounds. You can just boost through enemies, you can boost through attacks, you are completely untouchable while that's in progress. The jet stat itself is used to increase the number of jets you can use in rapid succession, but you can bypass this by simply being grounded. The jets are really used for boosting simultaneous consecutive times whilst in midair, but your boost count is refreshed when you touch the ground, so if you never leave the ground, you effectively have infinite boosts with the jets. Little timed input here so that we can kill both of these dropping enemies. If you mistime that and it drops down on Astro, you do take damage and some unavoidable recoil. Coming into the second boss here, Pook. So this is it's a single phase fight, but there's a few transformations here. So he's going to start by always going through his 4 different animal transformations. Okay, third, so the fish form is going to be next, which I need to time an input for here. You've got a pretty tight window to get this with the full damage of the laser before it digs underground. Now, the transformations are random, and I just do not want to see this form. But this is fine, because since the lion form didn't come again quickly, it's not too bad. He always has to go to a different form, can't repeat consecutive forms. And the lion form simply has a bit of forced time loss every time it turns up since it has the green aura. So getting +1 lion transformation, that's not the worst. Going to put 1 point here into shot. There is an early usage of shot here at the start of stage 3 to achieve a screen-wide wave clear. Oh, these are really unfriendly. So this is an example of a completely random set of enemy spawns. The places that those spawn are random, and that was extremely unfriendly. Use the shot here to just kill all these enemies at once. and then there's going to be another set of enemies that gradually spawn in the same approximate places, and once again just use the shot to clear them out. Again, turn around, finger laser to finish off that guy who came in a bit late. Now we have the silo section. This is everyone's favourite part of the run, where you've got very low gravity and you've got enemies that can spawn at different parts of the board of the screen, and you have to kill all these enemies before you can progress. This is pretty nice so far though, just doing a bit of pause buffering there to make sure I'm killing them as I get to them. Okay, the lesser known third super attack of the game. You've got the arm cannon, you've got the machine gun, and you've also got the EX dash, which is used with a simultaneous A and B input, which you can basically use as an additional jump if you don't quite have the height to get to where you need to go. It's not very often that you see that in this run, but it was very appropriate there at the top of the silo. So just going to be using some more arm cannons to get through these waves pretty quickly. That guy came on screen pretty quickly. Finger laser here 2 times. And take care of those. Jump, arm cannon after turnaround. And punch combo here. Arm cannon after the screen unlocks. 2 arm cannons to get the enemies that are going to spawn here. Then boost downwards, same again. Screen might unlock early here. No, so depending on how fast the enemies go off screen there, the screen can actually unlock before the next enemy spawns, which is very convenient, but it's basically random whether that happens. You just sometimes get an enemy skip and sometimes you don't. So coming into a mini boss here, but it's going to be same stuff again, just punch and arm cannon combo. 2 punches and 3 arm cannons is going to take this guy out. Before he actually manages to descend the kendo swords on us. So here's another room where we cannot see clearly because we do not have points in the hypersensor, but if you know the route through the room, it's not really relevant. We're going to stop for an optional upgrade point here, and this is a really weird upgrade point. This was not taken in the old route, but for whatever reason, we've got a section coming up here where the screen's going to lock and we've got another enemy wave to take care of. Now, for whatever reason, the game is supposed to lag extremely hard here. The game effectively runs at 50% speed. But if you get the upgrade point that I just got, the lag simply doesn't occur. So that upgrade point is a little more direct than the one we used to get anyway. And then in addition to that, it also makes the game run faster in that next section. So like, I've got no idea why that works, but it's very serendipitous. And just a lot of time save that really speeds up the game a lot. I think I've got one more enemy here because, yeah. We're going to get a bit of a cycle skip here, though. Yep, nice. Didn't have to wait for the piston. Come through here. Going to use another shot to clear out these small enemies here. And then... oh, no, that top one's not on screen. Ah! Yeah. Camera scrolled a little awkwardly there. The idea is to get all of them with the shot and then turn away to scroll them off screen earlier to get the screen to unlock a little sooner. But I used the shot a little too early. Oh, I tried to use a combo cancel there, but didn't quite get it. So, for enemies that require more than a full punch and kick combo, like 6 hits, you ideally want to interrupt the combo after the 3rd punch, because the 4th is always going to be a kick, and it's slightly slower to restart a combo after a full kick combo. It's a little faster to just cancel the combo after the 3rd punch and restart a new combo. Like, you can buffer doing the 3rd punch into a boost, then cancel the boost, and then start a new combo, and frame data wise, it's slightly faster to do that rather than just spam and finish a punch combo. That was a boss, by the way, that was Atlas, and yeah, bosses get killed very quickly in this run with the boosted laser stat, and it's about to get completely maxed out, which is going to be very nice for the upcoming second auto-scroller section of the run. Which is going to be right after the start of Stage 4 here. We're going to Antarctica, where there's the first robot president of a nation, and there's a human terrorist group that do not like that, so they're here to ruin everything. Now, a nice little quirk here is that I mentioned that the boost makes you completely intangible. One of the nice benefits of this is you can go through enemies, and once you become solid again after the boost finishes, you and an enemy cannot occupy the same space. Like, there's 2 solid objects in the same space, one of them has to move. And in a lot of cases, if you boost to the very border of the screen, the thing that must move is the enemy. So Astro can, like, boost to the side of an enemy, and then the enemy will be forced inwards, and you can turn around and then just use a screen-wide attack, and that's a very effective way to deal with waves that come from both sides of the screen. Now, this is probably my least favorite screen of the game. You've got these platforms on either side. There's decent RNG there, though. The TLDR of that is that you want as many platforms to appear on the right side of the screen as possible. Just like every other screen in the game, it follows the rule of it doesn't progress until you've killed, like, you know, a certain amount of enemies, and the spawns are determined by when they leave the screen. The ones on the right simply leave the screen sooner than the ones on the left, since the ones on the right, they exit the right border of the screen very quickly, but the ones on the left, you have to wait for them to drop off the bottom of the screen. So if you do need to deal with ones that are on the left, you at least want them to be lower on the left side, but you can't control that. It's like, it's RNG. The runner does not have control over that. Almost got that. So it's pretty tight to get a very clean section there where you get all those rotating spike balls. They have some periods of invincibility, but not too bad there. Can definitely do worse on that wave. Gonna have, yep, blue guys on top and bottom. Now we're gonna... No, not yet. That's the next wave after this, I believe. Okay, am I in the right spot? Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to take damage. Ah, I'm so bad. Took damage. Alright, let's try again. Right spot. There you go. Easy. Whilst I was developing the task for this, obviously you could imagine that these particular screens are not the most entertaining. So my solution to that was just to make Astro bounce around the screen like a DVD logo. Like, ricocheting around the screen, and there is at least one point through the movie where Astro does hit the cornermost pixels, so that was a nice little thing to keep me occupied during those sections. So we got a nice boss fight here. Gonna do 2 arm cannons on the nuclear tank here. Stand inside the hitbox and take a damage boost to use the finger laser for a bit. And arm cannon once the health bar reaches a specific value to just eliminate a little bit of downtime, basically the time from taking another hit throughout the fight. Very minor optimization. Stage 5, going to use the same trick, boost to the side and force an enemy inwards for a screen-wide attack. And now one of my least favourite waves in the game, where you've got these enemies coming on from both sides. However, this looks pretty friendly. Okay, well, it kind of was, but not really. I'm just going to try and repeat the same thing. Yeah, if an enemy is on the very border of the screen, you cannot move past them. There needs to be like at least a pixel of space between them and the border for that to work. So not the best wave here. You want to deal with that a little faster if you can, but not the worst thing in the world. Another screen-wide attack here. Now for this enemy wave, we're going to do a full punch combo first. Since one thing that I haven't really gone into is that a very convenient factor of the punch and kick combo is when you kick an enemy, it sends them flying across the screen. And whilst they're in flight, they actually become projectiles that can damage other enemies that they collide with. So we do a full kick combo and get the damage of the enemies flying into one of the main enemies there, the red guy. And then after all that accumulated damage, a full arm cannon is enough damage to finish that wave off. And finishing the previous screen there with a little optimization where you jump to scroll the screen upwards slightly. Since, again, the screen unlocks when everything is off screen, and if everything is going to fall off the bottom of the screen, that means stuff exits slightly sooner if the screen is scrolled a little higher up. Very minor optimization, which you do want to use as often as possible, but with the pseudo-random nature of a lot of these waves, there's not a lot of opportunities you actually get to do that, but that wave is one of the main opportunities to exploit that. So this wave here, it actually does not matter how quickly you kill these enemies. It makes no difference how the game progresses. Just a little bit. These ones, however, does matter. Now we're going to have some random enemies here. I can get you in the right position to be able to kill these, but not barely made a difference with killing none of them. Yeah, you don't really have anything where you're being able to attack different point elevation on the screen, simply look at the head where you are. So it is very common that you're able to get a heal there. Now these enemies you can detonate simply by being close to them, so he's being placed by time, and he's take care of themselves. Trying to lead these platforms to the bottom of the screen so that they exit the screen sooner, but then if they go beyond the bottom of the screen, you can't actually hit it, which is a shame. That was pretty the particle effect happening there, and slowing the game down a bit. So it's also very important what access for users, and yeah, I'm just going to drop the single laser here. We're very close to getting a minus place level there. Okay, let's see what we can do here. So just to get to this first enemy wave, enemies coming from the right and left as everything else, and as everything else you can't see where they're coming from if there's a foreground layer, which there is here. So this section you need to get a little creative with some setup. So I'm going to intentionally get hit and then move to the side so I can set up some screen-wide attacks after all 6 enemies in each set have spawned. Some pretty convenient timing that goes with that. And now we're going to be able to progress onto the main. Now you want to make sure to scroll the camera a little to the right here before you start attacking, as Dead Cross is going to get pushed to the right by the arm cannon. And if you push him off screen, he stops taking damage, and then he can attack you from off screen. So you do want to delay and make sure he actually does not get pushed off screen there. But we get through that pretty quickly, and we're going to start juicing the shot start, which we haven't used yet, and we're not even going to use in the next stage. There's 7 stages in this game. We're going into stage 6, and the shot is only really going to be used in stage 7. So 2 waves here that drop from the top, perfect for a stream-wide arm cannon, and we start it to get going. Do a boost through and a turnaround laser. And we're going to use 1 more of those here after everything gets on screen. Scroll the camera up a little. Use a kick to cluster everything, and 1 more arm cannon. Hopefully there's... okay, just needed 1 punch to finish those off, that's fine. Another turnaround laser. And a surprisingly annoying wave of small enemies here, which they're small, but they do annoy you quite a bit, as they are able to simply ignore some forms of damage that you deal to them, and they hit you back without actually getting stunned. So, deal with that though. Now a couple of huge enemies here, another turnaround laser into a finger laser to finish these off, and now there's a screen that's just pure movement. Now there's really not much in the way of glitches in this game, like there's no skips, there's no like real bugs, but the only thing that really resembles a glitch is that if you boost horizontally against a slope, it pushes you up the slope faster. I assume it's just because the game can't actually move you horizontally, so it applies the speed vertically instead. I don't get how it works. Now we have Sharaku here, so previously this was a real potential run killer of a boss that could just decide to really ruin your pace by using a time-wasting special attack. His special attacks are color-coded, and the green attack wastes like 15 seconds because he just becomes intangible during it. However, you can only use 1 color-coded attack at once, and if you are beneath him when the fight starts, you can force the red attack to always take place, and it's there for the duration of the fight, so that makes the run a lot more consistent in terms of not having to deal with a big potential time waster. So, final stage of the run. We've just got a boss rush here, the world's strongest robots. 5 back-to-back boss fights against enemies with different abilities. Get some selective intangibility here with the arm cannon so we don't get hit by the laser. And now we're finally going to see the shot is going to start being put to use. We've got Denko here, the invisible robot. This is supposed to be a very long fight. where you have to knock out a lot of invisibility sensors to make him attackable, but instead we can just do this. So the primary utility of the shot is that it stuns everything it hits, and the more the shot is upgraded, the longer the stun time is. And this can be used to great effect in this last gauntlet to simply lock down enemies and they do not get a chance to move. The remaining bosses, there's a lot of RNG in how they can behave, but the pattern is always the same. As soon as they're attackable, lock them down with the shot and then simply stun lock them to death. Such as Brontes here. Can randomly behave with this set of moves he has, and you get some limited time where this core is exposed, but by using 2 arm cannons to every usage of shot, we can keep him infinitely stun locked and he's not going to get to do any actions. As long as you're at least 1 pixel off the ground, these arm cannons will connect with the weak spot. And this arm cannon should finish. There we go, yeah. Going to be coming now into Epsilon with a fully upgraded machine gun shot. And the pattern is slightly different for Epsilon here. Going to start off with a shot instead of a laser because we really need to see which attack Epsilon is leading off with. That is left arm raising, that means I need to keep him locked down with the shot. So 2 lasers into a shot and repeat that since he's readying his own laser attack which kills you extremely quickly and he's invincible while he's starting it up. So you cannot really let this go off. So we simply do that and Epsilon is done very quickly. Yep, these do not really get a chance to behave. And I'm going to just put a point into life as it's the quickest one, and we're coming into the final boss here. Pluto, the world's strongest robot. Big arsenal of different attacks. Can behave very randomly. And there's definitely good and bad attacks to see from Pluto, so we'll see what we get. If he keeps using missile volley, which is what it looks like he's starting off, this is the best thing to see. Yep. This is what I ideally want him to keep doing if he decides to. Plasma. I need to interrupt that. And time is going to be when Pluto's health reaches 0 here. So this isn't going to be able to hit me if I'm right at Pluto's feet. Boost back through, I'll get some selective intangibility. And time. And then there's a bunch of plot that happens, you get 1 more upgrade point, and plot occurs, and then the apocalypse happens, and the entire world gets destroyed. So, like I said, I am not explaining the plot of this game as it's going on. There's a lot of stuff that happens, like you saw, you go to an island, you go to the moon, you go to Antarctica, you get transported back in time, the apocalypse happens. There is a storyline in this game, and it's very, very anime, which is quite appropriate considering Astro Boy is one of the, first anime series. It's a thing. So, if you're at all interested in this game, I highly recommend checking it out. It's very, very good. It's just such an enjoyable game to play. What's the time there, bud? 26. Man, I thought this run was going to be like a 26.3x, but it's a 26.2x. Man, I need to be slower. I'm sorry for getting the schedule even further ahead of schedule. We'll go again. We'll do another run. Do it. World record attempts.
Oh, no problem at all. Well, that was a very interesting run, very interesting game. If you haven't seen Astro Boy, please do. It's a classic.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much for having me. And what have we got next on the schedule? Oh, Oddworld, Abe's. No, that's after MGS2. I'm bad. Yeah, it's MGS2 next. Even better game.
Yeah, MGS2 Substance by Platonic Eye, one of the most influential runners of this game. Well, we're going to take a brief intermission to get set up for the next run, but are there any closing things you would like to say?
Check out this game. We've got a server. There's not many people that run this game, but always love to see people picking up this game. Would love to see anyone in the Astro Boy server. I see Sonic Stars in the chat, fellow runner of this game. What up, Sonic Star? Shoutouts to anyone who's running this game, keeping it alive, and shoutouts to everyone helping making this event happen and supporting Jaguar King. I really respect the guy. Very influential runner, and yeah, please keep it coming, guys, and let's show him some support.
Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. All right, so once again, this is Limeade 4.0 benefiting Jaguar King. We're going to go to an intermission right now where we get ready for Metal Gear Solid 2 by Platonic Eye, so stick around. You don't want to